Are you ready? Let's go!
Don't you sometimes just want to talk about everything? You know, there's days when you can just talk about anything. Need to sit back and chat about nothing at all? Nothing But Julie, coming at you with fun and creative topics and interviews.
Did you hear Julie's podcast? She's got the greatest topics.
Come join the chat about everything, anything, and nothing. So unwind and tune in to Nothing But Julie. Great topics and cool interviews with some pretty awesome people. And now, without further delay, here's Nothing But Julie.
Hi, everybody. It's Julie Schrager, Nothing But Julie podcast. Hope you're all doing great. I have a treat for you guys today. My friend Hillary, we go way, 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 way back. We've known each other, I think, maybe since middle school or camp. And her name is Hillary Meisner. And I'm so happy that she's joined me today because she started a new venture in her life that I'm really excited about. Hey, Hillary, how you doing?
Hey, Julie. Thanks for having me on.
So how far back do we go? I always
I
forget.
think it's day camp. I really do. I think
my
it's day
God.
camp. I think it's probably elementary school that we.
Well, you know what? I moved to Melville when I was in sixth grade and went to Sungquam. Didn't you go to a different?
Yeah, I had an interesting story because I was at you wouldn't know it. It was Hills, and Hills closed, and then they split everybody up into different elementary schools. So I finished out in Pominock and then to Candlewood. So then I probably was either, right before middle school or middle school, depending on when you ended up in camp. But yeah, that's how we met. I think that's how we met. I think we met at day camp.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely remember that. But and I remember high school, but honestly, I don't remember much about middle school at all. Do you? I find it hard to remember much about middle school in general.
I remember very little. I remember some teachers, but like now that with Facebook and everything, how you're able to connect with so many from our past.
Sure.
Sometimes I don't remember if I knew someone from middle school, if it was from high school. I'm just like, oh, from growing up.
I know
At that
exactly.
point,
We go
right?
way back from when we were kids. All right, guys. So let me tell you a little bit of why I'm interviewing Hillary. I actually find what she's doing fascinating, and she's very, very good at it. And she's going to speak to you a little bit about it. So let me give you a little snippet on her bio. Again, her name is Hillary Meisner, and she's a certified health and nutrition coach committed to helping those looking for a balance between nutrition and leading a healthy lifestyle that includes all the foods we all love. She helps clients disengage, I love this, from diet culture and realize their full potential to live their true vision of themselves. And she also goes on to say the work, and I believe this too, working with a coach provides guidance, motivation, and accountability. It's also a proven method to harness the change that so many people are looking for. It's like a one-on-one, which is great. And she does have her own personal health journey, which is filled with many battles, from yo-yo dieting to food allergies and diabetes. And those struggles inspired her to become a certified coach and help people so they don't have to experience the frustrations and confusion of the diet culture of today. And man, is there a diet culture.
Oh my gosh, is there ever, it upsets me so much. And here's just like a recent thing that happened, and it's so fresh in my mind that I actually posted on Instagram and Facebook about it. I'm in Facebook groups and on Instagram, and somebody posted about a food that they are touting about for weight loss. Well, there's no one food for weight loss. Let's just be real there. But this person said she didn't like it. Somebody in the group responded, well, keep eating it. You'll see the weight happen. Oh, I remember what it was. It was the bulletproof coffee. The girl didn't like bulletproof coffee. She didn't like, not the brand, but putting the butter or the oil in the coffee, which is a very keto way of weight loss. And keto philosophy of, promoting weight loss and whatnot. And she said, I just can't get behind it. And somebody said, well, when the weight starts falling off, you'll start to love it. And it just blew my mind. I was dumbfounded by this. No, if you don't like butter in your coffee, or you don't want MCT oil, which is coconut oil, in your coffee,
Right.
don't do it. I mean, it's just, it's
Yeah, I
mind-boggling
get
to
that.
me. And maybe because, maybe because I'm older, that no, life is just too short to eat foods you don't like, fad dieting, things like that. No, no, just no.
Yeah, you know what? I do have to say there's a lot of truth behind um I don't like fad
Hmm.
diets because they're just
Yeah.
that. And they're just not realistic. You have to be as realistic as you can because what happens after you've lost all the weight, you're looking great, and now you want to continue living your life, but the unrealisticness of a fad diet is really, it's just unrealistic. So how do you now continue to maintain that weight when maybe you were just using that diet for weight loss? Okay, so now what? You need something that you're just going to be able to continue with for the rest of your life to maintain a healthy lifestyle. And that's why
1000%.
I think coaching, and I think that's why coaching with you is such a great idea, because not only do you have the experience and stories under your belt from the yo-yo dieting you said you experienced, but also the diabetes. And there are people out there that do have health
Hmm.
concerns or health issues that you could either relate to or help them through, with the coaching. So that brings me to my first question. And we kind of already, touched on it, but was there one particular reason why you became a health coach?
I wouldn't say it was one particular reason. It was probably just like a culmination of things through my personal journey. So, growing up, I was not a diabetic. I'm what's called an LADA diabetic, which is a late onset diabetes. A lot of
Mm.
people still think of diabetes in a juvenile or adult, and no, there is type 1 and there is type 2. So technically, I fall under the type 1, but since I was diagnosed in my mid 30s, it's late onset. The issue for me was the guidance, really.
Mm.
The endocrinologist, and it's no fault to my doctor. I'm still with the same doctor. I adore him. I think he's wonderful. But the medical community, think about this. You go into a doctor's office, how much time do they spend with you? And how much of
Right.
that time is on nutrition? Not a lot, right? And the
Right.
reason being is, number one, it's not a focus in medical school. Number two, they're checking boxes for the insurance company. And there's no box to check about educating on insurance. So even if they can send you to a dietitian or if you go to a nutritionist, it all falls under that same kind of umbrella of the level of guidance. And I didn't find that from the medical community of what I was looking for. The dietitian that I initially worked with, because I did have gestational diabetes with both of my
Mm.
pregnancies,
Okay.
she basically gave me like guidelines, like eat the orange, eat the apple. What if I don't want an
Oh,
orange? What if I don't want an apple?
right.
So becoming a health coach, um, I teach people to have the confidence to make that choice. If you want the orange or if you want the apple, if you want the cookie or if you want the piece of cake, how does that all fit in and still align with your goals, whatever those goals are? And for some, the is weight loss. For some, it's just getting healthier. For some, it's,
Right.
all of a sudden, as we get older and as we age, our cholesterol levels, change. So our diets have to match what's going on with our bodies. And that's where a coach comes in. And that's what I do.
I love
Yeah.
it. And I think that, for me, I know certainly if I need any kind of help or education, you're the first
Oh,
person I'd reach out to. But not only being a friend and someone I know, but I like and the
yeah.
trust. I like the one-on-one and the being able to, ask you questions that, and as absurd as they might be, they might not be absurd in your mind because you might have gone through it. You just have more of an idea, I would say, of what people might be going
Hmm.
through than they really realize. and you've got such a past history with it. I would love to see what like you eat in the course of a day.
We could talk about
I know, I know, I know.
I'm
I'm like
not,
such a chocoholic.
people look at me sometimes and, I, I enjoy wine. There's a lot of sugars in wine. But
Yeah.
but it's how you lay it out. And, think of it like a
Mm-hmm.
bank. You have so much money in the bank. Though, that's like your calories or your carbs, whatever you're counting, however you're monitoring it, however you're looking at it, you can only eat so much in a day. So that's your money. Once that money or the paycheck is gone, you're done. It's not
Hmm.
people have a tendency to snack too much, overeat too much, but when you're working one on one with a coach, and what is so great about any coach that offers what I offer, is that accountability and support. And when people work
Yeah.
with me in my one on one programs, either we meet weekly or bi-weekly depending on what you as the client needs, because I'm here to support you where you are in your journey. And you could be in the store and looking, you wanted to buy crackers and you're looking at the boxes going, oh my gosh, which ones do I buy, which ones do I buy? So you text me, here's the label
Right.
of this, here's the label of this. But I'm not going to tell you, pick A. I'm going to tell you pick A, and I'm going to tell you why A is a better choice for you. And A might not be a better choice for, your friend, or what, depends on your your health assessment, which is one of the things that I do with my clients when they first come to work with me, is we have an hour conversation where we talk about your health history, your journey, what's worked for you, what hasn't worked for you, and where you are right now, where are your struggles. And that's something you don't get from just going to a doctor. And you can't even,
That's
you can't
very
call a
true.
doctor and be like, which crackers am I purchasing today?
I know, that's what I was saying before. So is there like any one common denominator with your clients, or is everybody unique and different with their lives and their needs?
um, yes to both. It's
Okay.
kind of like a double-edged question. Everybody is unique in their their journey. Are there common denominators? Yes. Have most people been on and off of fad diets? 100%. Do they
Yeah.
realize that fad diets don't work? 100%. And yes, fad diets or books and things like that are designed for you to succeed in the short term. So they will work in that respect. However, it's now implementing these restrictions because they're very restrictive. What
Right.
I teach, which is what people, why people come to me, is that you learn to take those foods you love, the pizza, the wine, the chocolate, the cookies, the cakes, whatever it is for you, and you learn how to keep that in your life. So, some people look at treat days and cheat days. Personally, for me, that doesn't work, because if I look at the cheat day, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can eat everything today. I would
Right.
rather have, a piece of chocolate every night, which is something I do. I have a piece of chocolate every night because it's what I like. Um, and some other common things that people have are the snacking. That's
That's
probably
me.
the main um, area of concern that people have. They say that they have no control when they snack, or they don't know what to snack on, or things like that.
Yes, the what to yes, the I have got to tell you, the what to snack on, it could I know for me, it's been like a learning
Hmm.
experience, and my sister,
Hmm.
Marlo, she is like I mean, she's always given me really good advice about things because she's always been more organic than me, more healthy than me, and it's kind of eventually gotten to a point now where I eat very healthy, but I love snacking, and I'm a grazer, so like I don't
I was
eat.
going to ask you that. Are you a grazer?
Yeah, ever since I was a kid, I was a grazer, and I stopped for a while, and then because I was
Hmm.
working, so I was stuck having three meals anyway. So I got back to grazing. So the only meal I really have is
Okay.
dinner. But the witching hour is like around 7:30,
Hmm.
8 for me. But my sister, told me about these amazing snacks from, I think it's Simple Mills, and most all of their stuff is made with almond
Hmm.
flour and doesn't have any grains. And because Marla's on this kick about
Hmm.
not having grains, and I've got to tell you, she wanted to lose a few more pounds, and she said when she dropped the
Hmm.
grains, it just you know, but it's definitely better. I'm like, okay, I go to Whole Foods. I probably spent $1,000 on Simple Meals. I came
With
home with
everything they
like
make.
everything they made, and I'm like, hey, do they have cereal? Let me go see if they have. And my I have my son and my husband, and they literally started eating all of my stuff, and I almost flipped out, but they liked it, and I can still snack if I want to on things like that. Like they have these cheddar crackers, but again in moderation.
Hmm.
It's not like I'm going to eat the whole bag,
Right. I
you
mean,
know.
that's the key. The moderation is key. Your portion control is key. And, simple swaps to help with those cravings, like people go and they see healthy on the label, or they think in general, I'll use yogurt because that's a big thing, right?
Right,
Yogurt is healthy.
right,
So instead of buying the yogurt with the fruit on the bottom, buy a plain yogurt and add your own fruit. I mean, you're still getting added sugars in there. Don't get me wrong.
sure.
And but by taking out the jelly at the bottom and putting in your own
Hmm.
berries, or even making your own berry compote, you're controlling that added sugar, and that levels out your cravings. That will
Right,
help with the snacking, because you're getting the fiber from the whole fruit. Like berries have fiber in them, so that
right. So you get
right.
full.
And when you have more of a complete snack or a complete meal, which has your protein, your fat, your carb, and it keeps you fuller. So even if whether you're a
Right.
grazer or whether you like to eat meals, because I work with people who are both. Depending on the day, I'm usually a grazer. I like to eat a little bit
Right.
as I go, and it also keeps my blood sugars a lot more steady.
I was just
Yeah.
gonna say that, yeah, and it keeps you
Hmm.
fueled, like constant fueling,
Constant
whereas some
fueling.
people have that kind of blood sugar
Right.
drop,
And that's,
you know?
and to that point, March is Nutrition Awareness Month. And it's exciting for me because this is my month where I put out all sorts of goodies for everybody, because it's a great
Mm.
tie-in, right? National Nutrition Month. So, like this week, I put out a challenge where I'm asking people to look for their triggers. So it could be, a trigger as far as when you're going for that snack, right? The nighttime witching hour could be after you've closed up the kitchen and you've done dinner and you're about to sit down on the couch, but you go and you grab your cookies, or you go and you grab, a bag of chips or something. That's your trigger. So if you identify those triggers and you know when it's happening, you can actually, think forward and make a change. So, okay, I know I'm going to want something salty. I can swap out my chips for, maybe I'll have celery with some dip, because celery is salty and it'll give me that salt and that crunch that I'm looking for. You know what I
Right.
mean? Um, and so next week on Monday, I'm going to, launch a challenge about adding more whole foods. But here's what I want to share with you and the listeners. On March 15th, I am launching a 5-day Facebook Live workshop called Sugar Smashers, where for 5 days
Mm.
I'm going to pop on, and I haven't figured out quite out the time yet, but I will be posting that on my page. Where I'm going to talk live about smashing the refined sugars out of your diet. Because as a society, that's really where our big problem is, because sugars are carbs and we just eat too much of them. But the 5 days are, the first day is, can you live without all that added sugar? The answer is yes. Knowing where the sugars are and how many different names there are for sugar on a label, and, you know, figuring out how best to plan your day or a week or whatever with those sugars. That's day 2. Day 3 is I'm offering ways that you can cut back. Day 4 is dealing with cravings and swaps, which we're talking about. And then 5 is putting it all together. So it's just a free workshop that I'm offering, because it's definitely the biggest pain point that my clients face.
Yeah, and it's not. it's not a very easy habit to kick. And I'm a big, I
Hmm. Love
love
chocolate.
chocolate, right? But I had to get a handle on it. I mean, it was like it just was
Hmm.
bad, like, obsessed with it.
Well,
And I didn't real
yeah,
yeah.
well, sugar, it lights up our brains and we go on that roller coaster, right? Because you want more.
Mm. Well, that's just it. And I was like a shark, like my eyes would like roll up and I would just keep eating without realizing like how much I had eaten. And many years ago I tried the paleo
Hmm.
diet. Well, it wasn't a diet. To me it was more of a way of
Hmm.
life, just changing kind of the ways I cooked things I cooked with. And part of that was having to stop all the sugars and the sweets. And I went in, I just went, head first. And you know what? It really wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be for me to kind of put a stop to the sugars because I did it like I weaned myself off slowly to the point where I got to where you just said I would just have a piece of chocolate at night. And that's still how I am today. I don't really do paleo
Hmm.
100% because I've incorporated other things. But I went to Trader Joe's the other day and I bought their dark chocolate truffle bar.
And next time I'll pick that one up.
You have to get it. It's
I buy their
ridiculous. And
sunbutter
so, like,
cups, which are delicious. Yes.
ooh, have you ever gone to Whole Foods and purchased the what is it, Justin's peanut butter
Yes.
cups?
Well, one of my
Oh,
daughters has she's allergic to all nuts. So yeah, so
oh,
that's part of where the allergy has come in because when she was first diagnosed, we didn't know. Basically, the only allergen she was tolerating, even though she was technically allergic to it, was soy. So I had to learn ways around cooking, egg substitutes. Oh no, I'm sorry, she was not allergic to wheat. So I had to learn egg substitutes. We had to put in dairy substitutes. My kitchen became a science experiment where I would make, she'd go to a party and I'd have to make my own brownies to bring for her, or cakes to bring with her, because I never knew what was in
mm,
anything. So thankfully,
right.
now she's outgrown everything and it's just all nuts. So hence the sun butter, which is, a great
Mm,
replacement for peanut butter. But when I am out and about by
yeah.
myself, yes, I do indulge in some good peanut butter because I love me some peanut butter.
But you know what? It's like you saying, as long as it's in
Hmm.
moderation. And today I was visiting my sister's in from New York, and I was visiting her. She's staying at my parents' house, and she's like, "Oh, do you want a peanut butter cup?" I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah." So she gives me the peanut butter cup, right? Me and my mom pop it in our mouths, and we're just like, "Oh, this is so good," right? Marlo takes a little bite. And then she puts the rest of it down in the foil and she goes, "When we come back, I'll have the rest." And I'm like, "You suck." Like, I'm just like, how do you do that? And the thing of it is like, I really wanted to have the whole thing. But guess what? That's it for me.
Right.
Like, I will have the whole thing and that'll be it. But I remember when we were younger, we would get the Cadbury cream
Ah,
eggs around this time of
yeah.
year. And Marlo would take like a bite or two and she would wrap the rest of it up and then she would have a little bit later on. And there I was, slurping that egg yolk. I mean, we're just so opposite like that, even still today. But anyway, moving on.
That's
That's real
funny.
crap, but it's so good. So now this is what I would like to know. Is there a reason why the clients will come to work with you, maybe versus other people? Do you do things differently, or is there something that, I know it's the personal touch, but is there something that you could tell
You
me?
know, I think part of the reason is that although my personal lifestyle is I eat mostly Mediterranean diet. I would say I'm like a Mediterranean paleo kind of person. Um, but
Oh,
I
okay.
focus low sugar, low carb. That's me. Um, but if you came to me and said, I'm not cutting out a single carb and I want you to help me. Okay, well, let's work with this and figure out how we're going to do it. So, just because I live my life one way doesn't mean that I have blinders on and can't see what works for you in your lifestyle. There are people that constantly eat on the go. I mean, I definitely feel that, the more you cook at home and the more meals you eat that you've made in your kitchen, the better off you're going to be. But then
Mm,
again, I have clients that don't cook. Period. End of discussion. There is no, there is
yeah.
no negotiable there. So we have to work within the parameters, and not everybody can do that. Um,
I can imagine that would be a bit hard, especially for those that work full
Mm-hmm.
time.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I don't know if they're working from home, but still, I remember when I was working full time, how hard
Mm-hmm.
it was to make meals. You
Right.
know, I didn't always have the time, and let alone, trying to come up with healthy meals.
It's a challenge. 100% it's a challenge. And you know, it's it's interesting as people go on their journey with me how, your mind you have a mind shift where
Yeah.
when my job is to take you from point A where you are to point B where you want to go. And I need to figure out how to get you there through all the little roadblocks and the bumps in the road that are going to happen. And that's what a health coach really does. And a nutrition coach will guide you through the nutritional pitfalls that people fall into. Um, and a lot of it is taking, anybody can Google anything, right? You have all the information
Right.
at your fingertips. I decipher it and talk to you about what works for you. And the feedback that you give me creates that personalized plan. So it's your personalized roadmap that we work with.
I love it. I think, like I was saying earlier, I think it's so much more important to have someone that, like you said, you can call in the
Mm-hmm.
supermarket or text and ask, like, what does this ingredient mean? Or, what should I do? Because when you have someone that's not really like that, or you don't feel like you have that close relationship, it all it does, I would imagine, is kind of push you further away from your journey instead of having someone that's really there for you, that's going to always be there for you with your journey and help you. Because when you're first starting out, I can imagine there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
questions when you're telling them, well, you should, maybe you should look at this and look at that. And when they do, I know that there are certain ingredients that might be identical to others, but might have just a totally different name. And if you can pronounce it, people say, oh, okay, well, then this has got to be good, right? But meanwhile, you don't realize that it's just as bad as like saturated
Yeah.
fat. You just don't know. Oh, I wanted to
Yeah.
ask you, when you
Mm-hmm.
cook, do you cook with
Mm-hmm.
oil,
Mm-hmm.
butter? And what do
Yes.
you think is
Yes.
the, yeah, I know, me too. I know. I started cooking more with avocado oil over the last few years just because of the higher
Right.
burn point.
Excellent.
But I do sometimes do half and half, like half I use the Kerrygold butter and sometimes avocado oil. But I was curious if, what do you normally cook with, and do you fry versus bake,
I
or both?
I will aim to bake over fry. Um,
Okay.
because fat, it's higher in calorie. And,
Hmm.
overall, even though I don't work with my clients on counting calories. We don't count calories. We don't count carbs. We count what your breakout is at a meal. So,
Okay.
because counting gets crazy and then it's a whole load of tracking. But the thing of it is, if you are going to be that diligent and track, if you bite it, you have to write it. So if it's a bite of a chicken nugget, you have to write it. If it's that
Oh,
extra
wow.
M&M or that M&M or those three M&Ms, because you don't realize you had a bite of a chicken nugget. Actually, you had four chicken nuggets that were on your kid's plate. Then, you stopped for coffee and you had a munchkin or something. You don't realize all
Oh
those
my
little
God.
things
Yeah.
that you just pop in your mouth, they add
That's
up.
very
And
true.
then people, they
Yeah.
say, I don't know, I ate on point this week, I don't know why my scale isn't moving. Well, no, unless we've hit a plateau, the answer is no. You ate something somewhere, something somewhere just isn't right. I mean, we're
Right.
talking like a week or two. But as far as, preparing, baking is definitely a way to save some calories. It's definitely healthier. Not to say that fried foods work sometimes too. It's everything is a balance.
Agreed. It is. And I know we said
Hmm.
moderation too. And I think also because, and well, this is very true. I know because of COVID, lots more people are cooking in their home. Me especially. I've gotten some more pots and
Yeah.
pans, and started with newer recipes, I
Hmm.
would say. And as my husband has gotten older, he found out that he has IBS. And, I have had to, we touched on this subject
Hmm.
a while back. And so I have been determined to, cook the healthiest meals that are digestible with him. And every time I cook now, he is perfectly fine. He doesn't have any kind of reaction.
Great.
But when we go out for dinner, he thinks that, oh, we're out to
Mm.
dinner and, I can indulge. And I'm like, no, because you are not going to be in the bathroom for the next 3 hours. So, not to get so personal,
I'm
but you
sure
know
he's
what I mean?
thrilled you
It's
just
like, just,
shared that.
I know. I don't listen to this podcast, honey. No, but I'm just saying, and it's true because you just don't know like what kind of oils they're using, or exactly what the ingredients are that restaurants are cooking with. And that's why I love cooking at home, because you can manage, what it is that you're doing.
I mean, as a diabetic, and there's nothing wrong with doing what I'm about to say. I ask questions. Ask your waiter questions or your waitress questions. Um,
Hmm.
I need to, I'm insulin dependent. So when I eat a meal, I need to calculate or estimate how many carbs I'm eating because my pancreas isn't going to give me the insulin that I need, where your body just says, okay, incoming, I'm going to release some insulin. So I ask
Right.
questions. And if something's got a sauce, I put the sauce on the side because I need to control the carbs, which is the sugars and the grains and the starches. I need tight control on that because if I give myself
Sure.
too much insulin, I will go low. And if I don't give myself enough, I go high. So it's a very big balanced game that I have to play. But I think,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with asking questions. There's nothing wrong with asking for the waiter not to bring the bread to the table because it's too tempting, or getting the sauce on
Right.
the side, or your dressing on the side, or if, a salad comes with the dried cranberries, getting those on the side. So you control the ingredients, you control what you're eating and how much of it you're eating. Absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Definitely.
And
I agree.
you're, in relation to your husband, you definitely don't want to be you know, feeling not well after a nice
Well,
meal
I mean, can
out.
you imagine? I know it's like you finally, go out, you find a restaurant where you're, it's socially distanced, you're not on
Wow, when
top
you're
of each other,
comfortable.
and
Yeah.
right, and it's like, great, we're finally out, and then your tragedy hits
Ugh.
later in the night, and it's just, it's but he's learned how to maintain it
Hmm.
better, and I've learned how to cook more healthfully, and I think that, going out to restaurants, like you said, and you need to know, exactly what you're getting. And sometimes, if there's an issue, no matter how much you want to eat it, you have to know your
Hmm.
body, and but I did want to ask you, how do your clients work with you?
Well, they work with me primarily one-on-one, which we
Okay.
talked about before, which, like the benefits again are, access to me, a personalized journey, based on where you are, um, broken out on your nutritional needs and things like that. And every so often during the year, I offer a group coaching program where people sign up and they're part of a private Facebook group that's only for the members of this challenge that we're, whatever it is, like a summer slim down or whatever weight loss challenge it is.
I love that.
And
Yeah.
from there, if somebody does want some private one-on-one coaching, I usually sell a VIP package where you can get some private one-on-one coaching during that. It's usually like a 21 day, it's like a short little boost around times when people are looking to kick off that
Right.
journey, when people are really in that mindset, such as New Year's, or we're getting ready for summer and things like that. And,
Yeah.
group coaching is great because you've got, the peer to peer people that are experiencing the same problems, but it's really for people who are self motivated, um, and will stick to the outline of the program themselves, and then they'll realize that success. I also have, my business page on Facebook, the Meisner Method, where I am constantly showing up and dropping tips and hacks for people, um, about, ways to benefit themselves on their wellness journey. And I also have a private Facebook group for people that are interested in embracing the low carb, low sugar lifestyle, which is actually the name of the group.
I'm so glad you brought that up because that was the last thing I was going to discuss with you. Because you had said
Mm-hmm.
earlier that March is Awareness
Mm-hmm.
Month and the weekly challenges that you're going to be offering. But well, you said the Sugar
Right.
Smashers
That's
also, that
March
workshop on
15th.
March 15th. So tell everyone again your varying social media names and your websites so they can go to them and be aware and get in touch with you.
Excellent. Thank you. Yeah, well, my website is themeisnermethod.com. Um, and on my website, I have my bio, tells you a little bit about me, a little bit about what you can gain working with me one-on-one. You can also sign up for my newsletter and my blog. I also right now have a freebie download called Sugar Sleuth, which is going to tie into the Sugar Smashers for day two, really, primarily knowing those hidden names. All those hidden names are outlined in that giveaway.
Right.
And
Great.
if you download it before March 15th, you'll automatically get the emails, the daily emails throughout that 5-day challenge, motivational emails a bit, and some, exciting
Oh, that's
tips. Yeah.
great.
And
I love
um,
that.
again, I have that private Facebook group. If somebody is focusing on a low sugar, low carb lifestyle, they can request to join that because it is a private Facebook community for like-minded people. And I have my business page on Instagram and Facebook, The Meisner Method. I'm the same everywhere. And they can show up, check it out, hopefully learn
I love
something.
that
The
name, by the
Meisner
way, the
Method.
Meisner Method. It's such a great name. I mean, really, it's
Thank
perfect.
you.
Well, thank you, Hillary. This has been really great. And, guys, I'm reach out to her because she's really that good. And you know what? When you're looking for a health coach, you definitely want more of a personal touch and the one-on-one. So check out all of her, her social media pages, her websites, and you can download the things that she said. And don't forget about the March B Awareness
Right.
Month and the free challenges that she's going to have for you guys. And again, I'm Julie Schrager, Nothing But Julie podcast. You can find me on all streaming platforms. And thanks, Hillary.
Thanks
This
for
is
having
great.
me, Julie.
All right,
You
you take
too.
care.